Hi everybody, my name is Shayma Arafat. I am going to tell you today about the Estonian internet voting system. I am targeting this video to give some advice or about the risks involved and the cautions or safeguards you should apply when voting according to a study I have made, although not published completely as a full reviewed as a peer-reviewed full paper yet. Only two posters are published from it. Okay, let's start. I have tried to cover all the new advancement through the years, especially those changes that have been made in the years 2023, 2024, and 2020, and also I have tried to grasp a little about the new updates that were released only 2 weeks ago. So let's start delving in the subject together. You all know that your experience in e-voting is the longest, have been 2 decades since 2005, and the most highlighted problem is that they say there is a division in the Estonian society. About 50% are opposing internet voting. As it is stated by the OHC or ODIHR in 2023, there is a notable division within the society between those who fully trust and those who fully distrust internet voting. I'm just trying to enlighten you about the situation from my scientific point of view. As a non-Estonian citizen, a non-European, I'm from Egypt. I have never been to Estonia before, but I have studied all the subject from an academic point of view. I have earned, although I am not working right now, I have earned the associate professor degree some time ago, and I'm kind of performing this research independently, solely on my own. So there is no sponsoring authority between that sponsor this work or have kind of, you could say, behind this work, pushing it whether in any way. Okay, what I'm really more concerned about or care to inform you about is the risks of the authenticating the voting application. So let's get into this first, let's get into this first. I have submitted as a poster in the last eVote ID conference about the possibility of an automated ballot stuffing attack. If someone was deceived to vote using another voting application than the true voting application. Okay. So the idea is that if you were deceived to download another voting application, a malicious voting application, than the original voting application, what will happen? Are the checks involved existing in the system will protect you from manipulating your vote, or you are at a severe risk? We assume, I do not claim, please be careful, I do not claim that this attack has ever happened before. I'm just saying that it could happen, given the situation of the internet voting system without authenticating the voting application. If voters were deceived to download a malicious voting application, or of non-voters absent voting, where their credentials were stolen through dark web or something else, and someone voted instead of them. Okay, what risk could happen? This evil malicious voting application that all those voters has downloaded or either downloaded or their credentials stored by dark web could wait for the vote that is going to deceive the voters with by the adversary to get them a malicious vote. This could happen at runtime. Even the application, no one knows the vote. It could be auctioned somewhere else. It would be coming from a mysterious adversary and put in a certain memory location. Then the malicious voting application could take this vote and put it instead of all those voters, and could even add a fresh random number with each voter, so that if in some check was in the system to check if there are duplicate encryptions, ciphertext existing, it would pass it, and the system wouldn't notice. Okay, so what we could do to protect ourselves from such an attack? Yes, I have suggested so many mitigations, but they all depend on authenticating the voting application. So until some solid solution, other solution is applied, please, I advise you all voters to authenticate the voting application. One step forward was made by the IVXV team, is to provide a way to authenticate the voting application by voters. It could be somehow tedious or many steps for you, but please take the time to do it. When you download the voting application, follow the steps in this site. Here there is EN is one step. Voting guidelines, voter applications, and checking authenticity. Okay, this is your only protection. We are suggesting that the steps of the authenticating the voting application could be patched in one button click, or preventing other voting application from being used. Although it is some way beneficial for you to have another choices. If you don't trust the system, you could use a voting application made by the party you trust more. So some people may view this as an advantage, that you have the freedom to use another voting application. But it could be better if the other voting application could be checked before. Until any of these solutions happen, or the batching of the steps in one button click, the best thing you can do as a voter using electronic voting, please authenticate your voting application according to the steps presented in this file. Okay, if it is not shown. There is another problem, however, I have to warn you about. A previous paper since 2022 or 2021 called on the auditability of the Estonian IVX system and an attack on individual verifiability. This paper shows that if the attacker could find a ratio V over V dash equal YSS, where Y is known as the public application key, there is some way that a malicious voting application could send, instead of your vote, another vote YR also V dash, YR multiplied by Y to the power R multiplied by V dash. Okay, the voting application at that time, the voting application would generate the QR code differently from your vote, so that it could deceive you. However, thank God, the system IVXV team has solved this in February 2023 by adding to the QR code, as I can check, that C1 sent is really equal to G to the power R, so that they cannot deceive it by sending another R dash. Okay? But is this a complete solution? No. You have to verify the QR code. Please verify the QR code. It's not that just that you wouldn't be checked, you wouldn't take care from a malicious voting application. There is a more severe problem. How do you know that the voting application is not already doing this for non-verifying voters? Do you understand what I mean? There was an improvement this year in 2020. In the last 2 weeks, they have published part of the voter application, but they have only published the server-side application, which means the application that receives the vote from the application you downloaded as a voter. This what we can. But the application you download as a voter and use it to vote, we don't see it. We don't know how it is. They just tell us what its code contains, but no one, for security reason, is allowed to see it. So what we really can't be sure. I'm not claiming that they have done anything wrong, but I'm saying we cannot exclude this probability beyond reasonable doubt. We have no way of telling or knowing for sure if they are doing this behind your back, if they are changing your vote by another vote when you download the official voting application. So what you could do to protect yourself, please verify your vote using the QR code. This is the only safeguard. It is your only safeguard. Please remember that quite well. Even if they try to deceive you, and if they were evil people and have changed your vote and put another vote using the voting application, you will discover this fact and report an error. If you verified your code, they cannot change the QR code. The improvement made in the system in 2023 made it the verification code not deceivable. They cannot deceive the verification code by if they have done this, the QR code will reveal it. And it's not true that if some people verify their QR code, then it's safe for everyone else. No, it's not. Okay. There is a law almost in a paper that was written in a paper. It is like a default law in all for all e-voting applications that for voters that do not verify or whose verification failed, we make no guarantees. That's a common principle for all e-voting systems around the world. In the Estonian case, and in fact in many cases everywhere else, this affects individual verifiability. Yeah, the concept is I'm not responsible, or I do not have for protecting you. I'm not responsible if you waive your right of protection. If you waive your protection and do not verify your vote. If someone deceived you, it's your responsibility. I am here talking about this because when the verification ratio is around 5% to 10%, this individual verifiability problem may very well affect the universal verifiability. Meaning, when you have 90% of electronic voters do not verify their votes, this could really affect the election results. If someone altered your vote, the only way you can be sure your vote is not altered is through verifying your QR code. And the only way you are sure you have not downloaded a malicious voting application is by authenticating the voting application. Those are your only safeguards. So please do not neglect them. Another details I'd like, I think they are important for you to know when you hear so many words everywhere else about some facts of the Estonian voting system. Okay, I have heard things about the key, the parts of the key. The election key of the IVXC system consists the election key used in the vote in your voting application consists from 9 parts issued by the members of the election committee of the Republic. Those the decryption requires 5 out of 9 parts, which means that you are safe unless 5 out of 9 colludes against you. You decide for yourself the risks when they say that 2 parts of the key were viewed by some people. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about the details, but I'm telling you, you are safe as long as 5 parts are safe. So, according to this, if only two has some doubts about them, you are still safe. Okay? Another thing I think is important for you, for the other attack, before I go, I thought if it could be shown manually to you through someone who could have a demo for a written voting application, trying to change it to show the people that you could deceive people if they did not verify or they used a malicious voting application, that the malicious voting application could very well verify the vote, miss with your vote with another vote. Okay. The other problem that I'd like to that's important, I believe important for you to know, is the mess around the decryption of invalid votes. There were some complaints. First, let me relieve you that this problem is solved this time because they have added range proof. If you try to add an invalid vote if someone tried to add an invalid vote to the voting list, it will be rejected by the system. In this year, in the version they have released in the last 2 weeks, there is a range proof check that the vote is correct. If the vote is not correct, it will be rejected by the system. So there is no problem of there is no decryption of invalid votes because there will be no invalid votes entering the system from the first place. Okay? The real reason behind hiding the decryption of invalid votes is from a paper called Breaking and Fixing the vote privacy of the Estonian e-voting protocol. This paper was published in 2023. The problem is that it is attack against privacy, by the way, not against, so rest sure, and it is now have ended because they have checked the verification. There is no invalid votes entering the system. The attack simply says that there is a possibility, could be slight probability, but it is still probable that if someone could craft maliciously an invalid vote, that if they show its decryption, they could reveal the votes of other people. So, with your system allowing another voting applications to vote, someone could deliberately craft an invalid vote and see its decryption. This way, if he get access to the voters list, it would be possible for him or her to deduce how some of you have voted. That's why they prevented people from viewing the decryption of invalid votes. That's the real reason behind it, real scientific reason behind it. And in any case, the problem is completely eliminated this year in these local elections, because there will be no invalid votes to begin with. There is a check in the published function about the range of the vote. If the vote was, there are possible cryptographic ways that they could check the vote is valid without revealing its value. In 2024, this was just a suggestion. As you can see, I have wrote about it, but it was just a suggestion. Now it is really implemented in a master thesis by some and in a paper from Tartu University, but then now it is implemented, and there is a range proof in the system. Another thing that was implemented this year and was not, it was suggested by other papers, is that the session key. The QR code now contains the number of trial votes you have voted for. This was suggested by many people, including me, I think. They rejected the idea of verifying only the last vote, because to protect you from caution resistance. But the new suggestion that they did two suggestions that I think they have implemented this year is those: a voter attempt tracking number. That's what they have done, a vote this year.